Hey Kipsters, our second video we're looking at our 7th grade math practice CST, looking at questions 6 through 10. Question 6, Marl borrowed $200 at 12% simple interest for 1 year. If he makes no payments that year, how much interest will he owe at the end of the year? So as I'm reading this problem, the very first thing I realize is that this is simple interest. And I know the formula for simple interest is interest is pretty, so that's interest equals the principal times the rate times time. And so if I just plug those things in and multiply, I should have the interest he will owe at the end of the year. So interest equals the principal. The amount he starts with is $200, 200, times the rate, which is 12% simple interest per year, times the time, which is 1 year, times 1. So I need to multiply these things together, but before I do, I need to turn 12% into a decimal. And so this is really 200 times 0.12, or 0 and 1200ths, times 1. For me to multiply these things together, I need to first multiply 200 times 1200ths. And so I'll do that right here. 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 2 is 4, skip a spot, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 2 is 2. If I add them together, I have 2,400. And since this is really 1200ths and I move my decimal 2 places there, I move my decimal 2 places there, and so I really have 24.00. I can just forget about the times 1 because I know that won't change the answer. So the interest that he will owe at the end of the year is going to be $24. And that, you can see, is answer D. Moving on to 7. Jason bought a jacket on sale for 50% off the original price and another 25% off the discounted price. If the jacket originally cost $88, what was the final sale price? So this looks like a pretty complicated question because it looks like I have to do 2 things here. The first is figure out how much is it going to cost after 50% off. The second is to figure out how much is it going to cost after another 25% off the discounted price. So the first thing I want to do is figure out how much will it cost after I take 50% off of $88. That'll be step 1. And then I'll figure out the 25%, and that'll be my step 2. So 50% off of 88, first I need to figure out what's 50% of $88. And to do that, I can turn the percent into a decimal, 0.50 times 88. That's actually something I can do in my head because 50/100ths times 88 really means 1/2 of 88. I could multiply those together, or I could do that mentally. I know that half of 88 is $44. So that's the first discount. That's how much money I'm going to save after I take 50% off. So if it started at $88 and the first discount is $44, I know that after the step 1, the jacket costs $44. That's the first sale price. The first sale price. But I still need to do step 2, which is to figure out another 25% off of the $44. So I need to figure out 25% off of $44. So to do that, first I need to figure out is what is 25% of 44. I'll turn 25% to a decimal, and that's 25/100ths times 44. And if I multiply those together, or if I do that mentally, knowing that 25/100ths is the same as 1/4, whoops, I know that I just need to multiply those together, and 1/4 of 44 would really be 11. And so if this is the first discount, $44, $11 is the second discount. That's going to be how much more you're going to save after the 25% off. But if I'm going to save $11 and it was going to cost $44, I still have this last step of needing to subtract. So it was going to cost $44, but I'm going to save $11 more. So the final sale price for this jacket is going to be $33. And so $33 is the final sale price, which is answer B. Moving on, looking at a similar problem, it says Stuart is buying a pair of jeans that regularly cost $40. They are on sale for 20% off. If the tax rate is 8%, so it's a tax of 8%, what is the sale price? So again, this seems like a pretty challenging problem because again, it's two steps. Step 1 is to figure out 20% off. Step 2 is to figure out how much will it cost. After that, an 8% tax. So if I want to find 20% off of $40, I'm going to find 20% of 40, which is going to be 20 hundredths times 40. And I'll multiply 0.20 times 40, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 4 is 0, skip a spot, 2 times 0 is 0, 2 times 4 is 8. Add them together, I have 800. But since I move my decimal 2 places in the factor, I move it 2 places in the product, and I know that I'm going to save $8. That's my first sale price. So it was going to cost $40. I'm going to save $8. So sorry, the first sale price is going to be $32. So right now I'm looking at this thinking my answer is probably going to be B because it was going to cost $32 and there's a tax of 8%. So it's going to get a little more expensive than $32. I feel like the answer is going to be B. Just to make sure, I'll actually calculate. I know I need to find 8% of $32 because I want to figure out step 2 because I already did step 1. I want to figure out step 2 of finding this 8% tax. So 8% of $32 is really, if I turn it into a decimal, 0.08 or 8 hundredths times 32. I'll multiply 0.08. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1 is 25. And I need to move my decimal 2 places. 2 places. So the tax is $2.56. That's the tax. And so if it was going to cost $32 and I'm adding a tax of $2.56, in total this is going to cost $34.56, and that's my answer. After the sale and then the tax, this pair of jeans is going to cost $34.56. Moving on, number 9, a calculator that is regularly priced at $20 is on sale for 40% off. This problem seems easier than 7 and 8 because it's only one step to figure out what is the sale price. If it's 40% off of $20, I know I need to figure out what's 40% of 20, and that means I need to multiply 40 hundredths times 20. And if I do that, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0, skip a spot, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 2 is 8. I have 800. I move my decimal 2 places in the factor, so I move my decimal 2 places in the product. And I can see that I'm going to save $8. The answer is not A though. A lot of students pick A because it's not asking how much I'll save. I'm going to save $8. But the final sale price will be how much it costs after I save $8. So if it used to cost 20 and I'm saving $8, in total the shirt now costs, or the calculator now costs $12, and the correct answer would be B. Moving on, slightly different problem. Which of the following has the same value as 5 to the 6th times 5 to the negative 2nd? Using the product of powers rule, since I'm multiplying powers with the same base, I know that 5 to the 6th times 5 to the negative 2nd, all I need to do is add the exponents and keep the base. So this is really 5 to the 6th plus negative 2. I just need to add the exponents. And so if I do that, 6 plus negative 2 is 4. And so my answer should be 5 to the 4th power.